there's probably never been a year when Are You OK Day is more important. We've all been touched by the challenges of this year, and all around the world, people are facing all of the disruption and distress that this COVID-19 has brought. And it's touched all of us. And it's important that we're able to talk about it and to support one another through it. And I'm not alone in that. When I look back at the start of this year, when I first ran some models that started to show what the COVID-19 impact would have here in Tasmania and on our university population, and I started to see how many staff and students could get seriously ill, the number that could die, and then started to do the numbers on what it would do to us as a university, and could see the threat to livelihoods, to what we would do here, I have to say I quite literally lost sleep. It was a week when all of those numbers were starting to be firmly in my head, where on night 4, when I had woken up at 4 a.m. in the morning and hadn't got back to sleep, that I realised my own levels of anxiety and stress needed some attention. So I took the pause, as I do, and those wakings at 4 a.m. are one of my indicators if I'm stressed. Got on the phone, talked to one of my good friends who I often have a chat with, and we chat with each other if we realise there's things we need to talk through. I got on the phone to my dad, who's been a great lifelong friend and mentor, to think about what it was, to talk it through, to explore it. That weekend I downed tools and I got back in the garden, clear my head, refocus on things, and then actually made sure I took some serious action. So that next week I got folks together and we started to plan the scenarios, work out what they would look like and what we would do. And moving from a sense of the scale of the challenge to the fact we had ways in which we could tackle it, saw my sleep starting to return. But I did make sure that I paid attention to some other things. Made sure I stopped a good hour before I was going to my work, a good hour before I was going to bed. That I kept my exercise regime good. That I made sure I paused regularly for the time I need with my family, to make sure the other inputs of life were strong, and monitor my own well-being all the way through. So I know everyone gets affected by these things in all sorts of different ways. That's why it matters to ask, are you okay? And this year we're really highlighting it's important to ask, but if a friend says they're not okay, to actually then take some action, to encourage them to take some action. For those of us who are not professionally trained, what we're there to do is to invite a friend to actually take some positive steps, whether it is getting on the phone to their own friends, reaching out professional help if they happen to need it, putting the measures in place to help them restore their well-being, and then of course check in again to make sure that things are actually going okay for them, because it really matters that we continue that care. So in lots of ways, this year's Are You OK Day, it's a reminder not just about a day, but about something we should be doing for each other all the time. And the real importance to break down the stigma of actually not just the asking, but the readiness to say that you're not okay. It has to be all right to acknowledge that we all have moments where stress is too high, where anxiety is a challenge to our daily well-being, or where depression might be lurking or taking a grip. Whatever it is, it actually has to be okay to talk about those things. They're not the kind of things that should be silent or hidden away or not talked about. That's what looking after each other is about, and collectively creating a culture where we can do those things safely, feel the support, and restore ourselves individually and collectively to well-being.